We're smooth 98.1 FM. Good morning and welcome to the locker room. I've been joined by Tega Onojiafe this morning for everything sports. Good morning, Tega.
Good morning, good morning. It's All-Star Weekend. So yes, it's the All-Star Weekend in the NBA. So we're going to be enjoying a lot. The three-point shootout, the rookie game, and this year we are back to East versus West as opposed to picking two players and then picking a team. So we are back to the All-Star Weekend. So I can't wait for the glitz and glamour. I can't wait to see who is coming. I can't wait to see who is playing the celebrity game. It's going to be mad. But it starts today. So please don't sleep because if you sleep, you lose. All
All
right.
right.
So that's one of the big deals happening this weekend in the US of A. What else is happening this weekend? There's a battle of the blues. Which blue is finer? Is it dark blue or is it light blue? We'll find out on Sunday evening. But yes, Chelsea is taking on Manchester City. So we get to discuss that sometime during the show. We'll also touch on the tennis that's taking place in Qatar, the 1000 Masters, the WTA 1000 Masters taking place in Qatar, and how Iga Swiatek and Naomi Osaka are doing. We'll also go to Italian Serie A, where Inter Milan has opened a 7 point gap and see if the others can catch up. We'll be touching on that, and then we'll also talk about this boy who cries wolf too much. So as it is now, the only reason I'm touching on this story is because it's news. Because left to me, I won't even read this story at all. But we have to talk about that boy in France, all right? We'll be doing all this and more during the show, but before we do that, Omatseye, tell us, how can we be a part of the locker room this lovely Friday morning?
To be part of the locker room this morning, we expect you to send your thoughts across as WhatsApp message in reaction to the sports stories inside the locker room to 0809 444 0981. Once again, 0809 444 0981. That's where we get all the messages relating to sports inside the locker room. Of course, you can be part of our rising fan on youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos. Search for us there, subscribe, leave your comments there. We'd also get to read them. And that said, Tega, here we go.
All right, headlines, and then we'll go straight to the stories.
On the bill this morning, Super Eagles soar to 28 in the world after AFCON silver win. As Qatar Open, Iga Swiatek continues title defense as Naomi Osaka falls to Karolina Pliskova. As Horner says business as usual at Red Bull despite probe into his conduct. There is also the boy who cried wolf somewhere along the line. Mbappe tells PSG directors he plans to leave as Chelsea mini revival faces Manchester City reality check. Time check. Was it? Then go on to Inter set to continue title match against struggling Salernitana. And then there will be Immobile hands Lazio Champions League advantage over troubled Bayern. There would be Lukaku earns Roma draw at Feyenoord. Days and more to come.
So let's start with Nigeria. The rising was too much. The baking powder was fantastic because that bread really rose. So let's talk about Nigeria.
African Cup of Nations champion, runners-up, Super Eagles of Nigeria have moved up by 14 spots to place 28 in the world in the February FIFA ranking.
And I like that this is what should happen. You know, before it used to be that the African Cup of Nations didn't make as much waves as it should. This year, it turned people's head like you had to know that something was going on. It completely overshadowed the Asian Cup. Even the European leagues were going on, but a lot of people were focused on the African Cup of Nations. Fabrizio was now talking about AFCON. I was like, this AFCON people have really tried. But yeah, it was a tournament that turned heads, and I think it was equally beautiful. The way the way the results in Africa Cup of Nations directly impacted the position of African teams in the rankings. I'm still sad. Oh, I'm still sad that Nigeria didn't win. But I like the rise in the FIFA rankings. 14 sports. They were not the highest movers. I think Angola were the highest movers. But 14 sports is a high move. That what that means is that we could, with that ranking, get on the radar of some big teams. Prepping for friendlies and all of that. So also I love that. Somebody said, don't look for Ghana, they're not on the list. I had a good laugh. Those are our cousins that don't have anything but lights. Only light is what they can't even use lights to see roads to climb up the FIFA ranking. I don't know which kind of country that one is. But it was fantastic to see Nigeria rise 14 sports. The team of the tournament came out, and Nigeria had, I think, 3 players on that team. I would have added 4 because Tank Onyeka should have made it, but we managed 3. We managed 3 so that other countries will not feel like,
It can be
Giant of
all
Africa.
Nigeria, so it doesn't look like
Giant of
we're
Africa,
greedy.
you want to take everything. Let's just give them 1 or 2 spots. So we gave them 1 or 2 spots. But yeah, good news coming out of the Super Eagles camp, despite the disappointing final. Because I'll keep saying it. Nigeria lost that final because they didn't strategize well. And this was another opportunity to win their 4th AFCON title, and they didn't take advantage of it. But with all that bad news, there was light at the end of the tunnel. As for Ghana, go and collect your own. In fact, they were even protesting. Did you see them with their placard? Save Ghanaian football. Can you imagine those people? So that's what they're using their light to do, to print placard. Now, wow. Thank God for also.
All right, Tega, you've touched on the global impact of the AFCON, but let's bring it back home and see how much we moved in terms of those who are the high flyers on the continent.
I didn't get that part.
I'm looking at when we bring it back home, looking at the ranking where we are on the continent now. We know we're 28th in the world.
We are now 3rd on the continent. We're still not first on the continent. Do you understand? But I mean, we are higher up. So it's not a bad position. Again, I still say one tournament it made a difference, but it will not make every complete difference. We still have to think about the World Cup qualifiers. I remember you've already drawn 2 matches in that group, so we'll see how that pans out for us. But those kind of things will determine how high up we move, and also if we qualify for the World Cup. I also really, we did that poll on, was it Wednesday now, where we're asking, should Pesero stay or should Pesero leave? I still think that there is more to be taken out of the Super Eagles that he has not touched yet. So let's see how it pans out for the Super Eagles. But when you do well in a tournament like this, it tends to build confidence and belief in the team. And they now come out with a completely different attitude, and they can soar higher. So let's see how it pans out. But yes, we're 3rd on the continent, 28th in the world. That's a good move.
You give a man a target of semi-final. He gets to the final.
I don't even
why should you sack him?
I cannot, no, please, who is you give a man? No, I cannot give anybody semi-final target. What's the meaning of that? Win the tournament convincingly. It's trophy in the cabinet we used to count. We don't used to count semi-final.
So it looks like a fine place to drift away to see what Qatar is looking like, as the Qatar Open is there. World number 1, Iga Swiatek continued a bid for a 3rd straight Qatar Open title, while Japan's Naomi Osaka, new mom, getting ready to get back on court, was knocked out in Doha. What happened?
So, look, I would say this. Naomi Osaka is close. She's close. It's just a little tweak here and there. She's off her rhythm. Like, this loss came, it was 7-6, 7-6 in the tiebreak. So she held her serves well. There's still 1 or 2 movements. Remember, she's been off the tournament, the tour for a while, and she had her baby. And I think what was plaguing her too, what added to her issues, was this pregnancy. Because I've heard all these stories about the back pain that comes with having babies, and she had that lower back pain yesterday. You could see her several times during the match trying to stretch it out and all. So her quarterfinal match, her round of 16 match didn't hold, because Sorenko picked up an injury, so she kind of had that extra day to rest. So this is just her 7th match since she came back from having her baby less than a year ago. Let me keep reminding people her baby is not year 1. So she's on schedule. And
Okay.
she'll be upset and she'll be frustrated because, she felt like she could have done better. She looked like she was playing better, and she was, but there's still that little bit of timing. You compare that to Pliskova, who had a wrist injury, and has played a lot of matches in recent times. That was her eighth match in yesterday's match was her eighth match in as many days. Because she won in Romania, then took a private jet to Turkey, then flew and got into Doha, and she had only 12 hours between when she landed and her first match. So Pliskova has been playing a lot of matches recently, so she was match sharp, as opposed to Naomi that is just getting back into the rhythm of things. So I don't think she should be so sad. I kid you not, she doesn't look off it at all. One tweak here, one tweak there, and she'll be back to the 4-time Grand Slam champion that we know. But yeah, that back pain, when I saw her stretching, I was like, my sisters told me about that lower back. Your lower back is never the same after you have a baby.
Okay.
And you could see her trying to stretch it out during the match. It's not like it was a major injury, but it was there. It was there.
Touch on the world number 1 for us, and
Oh,
then I would like that
let's
description where you tell me she can still go to meet up dates, even just dismiss the game and then meet up.
oh no, I don't think the score line didn't tell the true story because
Okay.
it wasn't that easy. Now the truth of the matter is, so in tennis, it's just the weirdest thing. In fact, in sports, it's just the weirdest thing because Iga Swiatek knows how to beat Victoria Azarenka. Even if the fact that she beguiled Azarenka in that second set does not mean that it wasn't a long one. Azarenka tested her. She struggled a little bit on her serves too. But at the end of the day, she did the business, to finish off Victoria Azarenka. So she knows how to beat Victoria Azarenka. I think that's what the thing is. And here's what's tricky. Victoria Azarenka knows how to beat Yelena Ostapenko. And Yelena Ostapenko knows how to beat Swiatek. And so what had happened was most people were anticipating that this quarterfinal would be between Yelena Ostapenko and Iga Swiatek, and we'll be seeing whether Iga Swiatek will finally be able to defeat Yelena Ostapenko. But enter Victoria Azarenka, and she beats Yelena Ostapenko again. Like, she knows how to beat her. Whenever she faces her, Ostapenko struggles. Big time.
Like, say, I'm your downfall.
When Ostapenko faces Swiatek struggles. So there is this formula that it is. So with Swiatek, when you see her up against players like Rybakina, she's won Rybakina once, but most in general, Rybakina would likely win. But that Yelena Ostapenko one is like magical. Once she meets Ostapenko, is the end of the road. Boys to men. So
I see that what you just done now. But let's get it. That takes us to the road also. This is the kind of tracks where we find this man, Christian Horner, insisted it's business as usual as Red Bull, but admitted an investigation into his conduct has proved a distraction ahead of the 2024 Formula One season.
So they had their launch of their own car. A lot of people had their launch. Mercedes had their launch. And Red Bull also now had their launch. And people actually thought the launch was going to be moved because of this investigation into Christian Horner's behavior, inappropriate behavior that we still don't know details about. And, the people saying that he's been advised by close pals to step down. And he's refusing because he's denying all allegations. But people thought that the launch would be moved. However, the launch didn't move. It still had the glitz and glamour, but it was tainted by the fact that a lot of guys are unsure about whether Christian Horner will still be the guy in the paddock. And so he's saying that, look, this was just a distraction, that they've started winning. He's been here 20 years. He's built a successful team. And all of a sudden, haters have crawled out of the wall and tried to pull him down. Oga, was there inappropriate behavior or not? That's the question. All this one you're talking, my enemies have caught me. Your enemies didn't have anything to do with it. Just what was the issue? I think because of the way the issue is lingering, because of the way the judgment is lingering, that maybe he could get away with it, maybe. Again, we don't know the details of the inappropriate behavior.
This inappropriate behavior, would a woman be involved? The way it's this inappropriateness.
They did not say, in fact, the way they're saying it, they are absolutely avoiding that woman being involved. And I think, yes, they because, rumors will filter down. They've avoided, if there were a woman significantly in the middle of it, by now we should have heard about Becky with the good hair. But so far, nothing. So let's wait and hear what's happening.
All right, we'll wait and hear what's happening after now on the other side, but just be sure to reach us and reacting to any of the sports stories this morning on 0809-444-0981. Of course, you can go to youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos. We are smooth 98.1 FM. Stay tuned.
Love music. Love life.
Just feels good. 1934, South African Airways took its first flight, a beacon of hope in the dawn of air travel. Through the winds of change and the turbulence of challenges, we've remained steadfast, a constant in the ever-evolving story of South Africa. From the propellers of our first aircraft to the powerful engines of today, each mile, each destination echoes the story of South Africa's ascent. To every passenger who shared the skies with us, to every crew member and staff who became part of our family, and to every supporter who believes in the wonder of flight, thank you. Thank you for being part of our 90-year journey. Here's to the next chapter. South African Airways, where dreams take flight.
I belong to the Chop Better Gang. Now, why anytime I want chop like this, I dey put better things inside. For my yam porridge, after I don't put my fish, I go on Tega with onions, tatashe and ugu, come season am with correct no cubes for that delicious taste. Because my people, good life, bad life where you chop better. Sama all your food with correct vegetables. Come season am with no cubes for that ogbonge delicious taste. Today, chop better. You're tuned in and listening to Smooth 98.1.
Freshly pressed grapevine, the local.
It is still the locker room. We are back, still picking up the sports stories inside the locker room. Tega, let's begin with this next story. Well, France it is we are now. So let's go. France captain Kylian Mbappe has told officials at Paris Saint-Germain that he intends to leave when his contract expires at the end of the season. A source close to the matter has leaked this one to us.
Like I said before at the start of the show, until I see him in another jersey, pink jersey, red jersey, white jersey. If I don't see him in another jersey, I don't believe any story he wants to say, because I don't know if he's looking for more money. Look, I'm tired. Every 2 market days, he'll come out and say, a source close to him will come out and say he wants to leave. Every 2 market days. And he's still at PSG, owning things. No, I don't care what he says now. Let us, if he does not move, we will not be talking. In fact, the only reason I'm talking about it because it was all over the news the other day, and some Real Madrid fans were so excited that maybe it's time for him to come in. But even if he does move to Real Madrid, he likes to come in from the left wing to the right, as opposed to playing the number 9 position itself. So where would he play? Because that's where Vinicius Jr. plays. It's a tricky one. Maybe Arsenal will be the one to take him. Gunners, this morning, let's feel your pulse. Should people break bank and get Mbappe now that he has said he wants to move? England is not too far from France like that. One train, you have arrived. Spain is still a little bit further. So would you break bank to take him? Gunners, send us a message on what's our WhatsApp number again?
0809-444-0981 will be the number. 0809-444-0981. So,
but like I said, he cries too much wolf. So until I see him move, I'm not believing any sources, even if the source is his father.
Mm. Well, some would say probably maybe he had too much baby formula back in the days growing up. Maybe.
That one
But
looks like he came out. That one looks like he came out with teeth.
okay.
Anyway, on that note, let's go to the next story.
So let's go to England. Chelsea's revival faces the ultimate test on Saturday when Mauricio Pochettino's team attempt to put the brakes on Manchester City's express train, Man City Express.
Yeah, so Man City Express is in town. I would say this for Chelsea. They've had a like the storyline, the headline says a mini revival, defeating Aston Villa in the FA Cup, winning over the weekend, albeit they had to come from behind against a Crystal Palace side that is in a lot of crisis. Their manager is taken ill and is recovering in the hospital. The manager is even too elderly to still be in football. I don't know why his children have not jacked him back home. So we're talking about a Crystal Palace side that is struggling. However, they beat an Aston Villa side that is flying high in the FA Cup. So they have it in them to bring out some major results. And earlier this season, they did show against some of the top teams that they're ready to play ball. Against this Manchester City side, though, who has been getting the second half of their season very well. That is where the real test is coming. Now, Manchester City, remember, still have that game in hand and they're trying to take back their position at the top of the table. And Chelsea is trying to move from 10th. This time they are hoping to move from 10th to 9th, not 10th to 11th again. So it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out for them. Everybody is available for Manchester City, but no, Vardiol is injured. Bernardo Silva is injured. I think those are the two key misses that Manchester City have. Jack Grealish is injured, but that is not really of any consequence. It's not like he's been featuring big time for Manchester City. So I think Vardiol and Bernardo Silva, those are the guys that, Pep Guardiola will miss coming into this. For Chelsea, well, they have their team. It's not like even with the full squad, they've been winning this kind of fixtures. So we wait to see how this weekend pans out. But it is the battle of the blues, and I want to feel the pulse of the fans. So, based on the recent result that Chelsea has, do you think Chelsea have a chance to win, to get at least a point out of Manchester City this weekend? The numbers to call are
0809 444 0981 0809
That's not
444.
call number.
Oh, you want the call? Oh, therapy. Okay, 01448 9981.
Again, sorry.
01448 9981 for the calls. Let's get to hear your polls this morning. Feel it.
Exactly. So tell us, can Chelsea get something out this weekend? Feel free to give us scoreline. Whether you think Chelsea will win 3 or will draw 3-all, whether you think Chelsea will win 1-0, or whether you think Manchester City will completely obliterate Chelsea. Send us your messages and send us those phone calls. All right, let's see some messages. Are there messages already coming in?
Yeah, we a lot waited here.
Let's take the messages.
AY from Muniru, Mbappe will milk that club dry to the roots until he's satisfied. That's what he says. I'm already waiting for Mbappe signing a 2-year contract extension with PSG, headline before the end of the season. Meka Onelum from Amuwo says Mbappe has already become the precious bride after he announced he's leaving PSG. See United, Chelsea, and Arsenal fans already toasting the guy to come to their clubs. It is the Chelsea request that's even the most amusing for him. And then Emma from Surulere says, Tega, please, how does Morocco still keep number 1 in Africa despite performing woefully?
Okay, so like I said, for you to have that kind of result, it's what you built over time. So if you look at their results building up to the African Cup of Nations, it was great. But the African Cup of Nations in West Africa just didn't do very well for them. So again, you have to have that consistency in long term.
Then there is also Tunji's message for you here, and he says Madrid will play 4-3-1-2 with Bellingham as the 1 And Mbappe and Vini as the two Chunji's thought if he eventually moves to Real Madrid. And then
Ha.
Ibukun from K2 says Arsenal, okay. They have no bank to break and I've had their fill of French-speaking forwards who flattered to deceive after Giroud left, Alba, Lacazette, etc. Like Tega said, until I see him move, I'm tired of Mbappe. Nye, 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 every time.
Exactly. Every 2 minutes. All right, let's take some more stories.
All right, so let's go to Salernitana, where it have taken control of the Serie A Scudetto race, and this weekend's meeting with bottom table Salernitana gives them the perfect chance to further strengthen their hold on the top spot. You're muted.
Sorry, this weekend, every top contender in the Italian Serie A is playing I would say on paper an easy team. So Inter Milan today will play Salernitana because remember they're playing Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. So I like the way the Italian Serie A helps their teams. So they play Salernitana this weekend. They lead by the league by 7 points, and they still have that game in hand. So the gap is already open. Now, Juventus after back-to-back losses, they travel to play Hellas Verona. On paper, that should be an easy win. But because of recent results where they've struggled, the market is still open. We don't know if Verona can pull one off or if Juventus will start winning again. I think AC Milan, who is just 1 point behind Juventus, who seemed to be out of it just 2 weeks ago, is now 1 point behind Juventus, and they play against Monza. So, interesting one there for all top 3 teams, but they have winnable matches. The question is, will they win their matches that's supposed to be winnable? But Inter Milan right now, looking very good and solid for the Scudetto. And Inter Milan have extra oomph. So you know that Salernitano used to be coached by Filippo Inzaghi, the brother to Simone Inzaghi, the coach of Inter Milan. They now sacked his brother. So I'm guessing that he's going to beat them silly for sacking his brother. But let's see how that pans out. This is for my brother.
Let's touch base with one more Serie A side there. Ciro Immobile fired Lazio towards the first Champions League quarterfinal in nearly a quarter of a century in Wednesday's 1-0 win over Bayern Munich, which plunged their troubled opponents even deeper into crisis.
I remember I said this on Wednesday when both teams were gearing up for this, and I said last year I've not been in a very brilliant place, and so despite the fact Bayern was struggling, I didn't think that this was going to be this was a good match for Bayern. It shocked me. Bayern's struggles are now spiritual because they came into that game. And they looked completely clueless. They were creating chances here and there, but nothing on target. They had one shot on target. Can you imagine a whole Bayern team with Muller, with Harry Kane, with Musiala? One shot on target. So even if you want to say that Lazio fluked their win, the question now becomes, what were Bayern doing for 93 minutes? I'd been thinking that by Thursday morning, we would have heard he was fired. But it seems that the powers that be are taking their time because I don't understand why Thomas Tuchel is still in a job. Very horrible display. I would still say this. Leroy Sané is the one player people have talked about and hyped so much that, excuse me, I'm still looking for the magic that boy has. Because to me, he's never had it. Not when he was in Manchester City, not when he was playing for Germany in the national team, and certainly not when he was playing for Bayern Munich, especially on Wednesday night. Leroy Sané to me is like Dembele. Those guys have not delivered on all these things people say they have. I've not seen the thing that they have. I've been looking at it. I've been looking at it with torchlight. I've been looking at it with microscope. I've been looking at it with it is not there. That magic people claim they have is not there. And the only thing they have is speed, and this is not athletics. It's football.
Right. Tega, can you just put this man is heading in a particular direction in Italy? So just let fix him in a bus so he gets to his destination. Striker Romelu Lukaku, touch on him, not under the bus now.
In Europe yesterday, the other side of Europe, the Champions League is Tuesday and Wednesday. That's where most of us watch. And the other people now played yesterday.
Yeah.
And Roma was able to salvage a draw against Feyenoord. Now, remember, there's a budding rivalry between Roma and Feyenoord. And Roma had been edging that just a little bit under Jose Mourinho. They beat them in the final. They beat them in the quarterfinal last season. And so it looked like it was going to be revenge for Feyenoord to knock out Roma from this competition, from these playoffs. And they looked like they were on the way to it when they scored their first half goal. But Romelu Lukaku in the 67th minute scored an equalizer, and that's how the match ended. So congratulations to them. In other news, AC Milan also won their match by 3-0. Loftus-Cheek scored 2 of the goals, and Leao scored the 3rd goal. So looking good for both Italian teams, at least in the playoffs of Europa. All right.
So we'll wrap up now with a message, a few of them now. Ifedayo comes back with gratitude because he seemed to be a double beneficiary of your largesse back in the AFCON. So he would wish every day would be AFCON. So he comes back with gratitude, saying thank you to the locker room crew and the sponsors. That's what he has to say.
You're welcome.
And Tega, then it goes on, Man City will 100% beat Chelsea on Sunday. It says it's 100% certain, Ifedayo. And I've got Adenike Adeleye saying, I'm a Chelsea fan, but I'm not even going to really watch the match. I feel Man City will score something like 6-0. Tayo is here. Tayo says, Mbappe and PSG is the definition of a
6-0.
Yeah. Tayo's message is saying, Mbappe and PSG is the definition of a working toxic relationship. What kind of Valentine relationship is this? Harry Kane is back to his Tottenham setting because why? That's all the time we've got.
All right. Thank you so much for your messages. Thank you for tuning into the locker room. Have a great weekend. And hopefully when we meet on Monday, your team will not be fodder for banter. All right. Till then, aspire to Maguire.
Okay, Tega. Have a great one. Thanks to everyone who sent in messages and to those who listen. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa.